My name is Lila Moreno, 29 years old. It's strange how your life can slip sideways in complete silence. No horror movie screams, no long skid of tires, just a soft intake of breath and then glass exploding around you like glitter. One second I was debating dinner, rotisserie chicken from the grocery store or drive-through tacos, and the next I was upside down, hanging from my seatbelt like a marionette. The world had gone eerily still. The car had rolled. I didn't even see what hit me. Just a flash of headlights and the sickening lurch as the world flipped. Now my hair dangled toward the cracked ceiling, my shoulders screamed, and through the spider-webbed windshield I could see a stop sign I must have blown past without ever noticing. Someone's hand slapped against the window, a man's voice, muffled. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" I tried to nod. Pain shot through my neck. Warmth slid down the side of my face and into my eye. For a second, everything tasted like pennies. The rest came in disconnected flashes. Sirens, hands cutting the seatbelt, cold air on my skin as someone dragged me out, the smell of gasoline and burnt rubber. My own voice, thin and distant, asking where my phone was. Then everything blurred into gray. When I woke up properly, I was in a hospital bed, lights too bright, the world slightly tilted. There was a dull ache in my ribs that turned sharp when I tried to inhale. My shoulder felt like it was held together with rusted screws. A nurse appeared beside me, her smile professional, practiced. "You had a car accident," she said. "You're in County General. You dislocated your shoulder, cracked 2 ribs, and you've got a mild concussion." Mild. That was the word she used. I couldn't sit up without gritting my teeth, but sure, mild. "You're lucky," she added. "It could have been much worse." Lucky. I lay there in the stiff hospital gown, staring at the ceiling tiles, trying to decide if almost dying alone in my car on a Tuesday counted as lucky. The nurse asked if I wanted her to call anyone. Family, boyfriend, friend. My first instinct was to say my dad's name, then my sister Carly's, then nothing. Instead, I heard myself say, "No, it's fine, I'll text them later." It was a lie. I wasn't going to. Not yet. Some stubborn little corner of me wanted to see if anyone would notice without being prompted. If I disappeared off the radar for a couple of days, would anyone check in, or would life just go on? They moved me from the ER to a regular room. Machines beeped softly at my bedside. By the second night, I knew the routine. Blood pressure check, pain meds, physical therapist who looked like he'd just graduated high school telling me, "You have to take deep breaths so your ribs don't stiffen." Every breath felt like someone was jamming a crowbar under my rib cage. I took them anyway. My phone sat on the rolling tray table next to a plastic cup of ice water. Screen dark, motionless. Families talk, right? Word travels. Somebody hears something, calls somebody else, and before you know it, everyone knows. That's what I told myself as I watched that dark screen for 2 days. Maybe Dad would call just to complain about his back or ask if I'd looked at his insurance email. Maybe Mom would send a meme she didn't quite understand. Maybe Carly would text in a panic about rent again. Nothing. No buzz, no ding, no, "Hey, you okay? Haven't heard from you." On the second night, after the nurse swapped my IV bag and dimmed the lights, I finally reached for the phone. The motion made my shoulder protest, but I needed to know. The lock screen lit up. 27 unread messages. For a second, my heart leapt. Maybe they had noticed. Maybe they knew. Maybe they'd been worried sick. Then I saw the names. Not texts from Dad or Mom or Carly directly. The family group chat. I opened it. The first photo hit like a punch to the cracked ribs. Carly in a white spa robe, holding a champagne flute in one hand and flashing a peace sign with the other. Her hair was twisted up in a messy bun that probably took a stylist 30 minutes to make look that effortless. Caption, "Spa time, baby." Another photo. Carly stretched out on a chaise lounge beside a turquoise pool, sunglasses on, a bottle of chilled water balanced on her stomach. Another, Carly in a cedar sauna, cheeks flushed, sweat gleaming on her collarbones. Another, a platter of artfully arranged sushi. Her nails painted, her feet soaking in rose petals. A green clay mask smeared across her face as she grinned into the camera. Under each photo, my mother's comments. "So cute. You deserve this, sweetie. Love you." Dad chimed in with his usual digital enthusiasm. A few thumbs up emojis, a "looks relaxing." I scrolled. Not a single message asking where I was. Not one. "Hey, anyone heard from Lila?" Just a stream of spa day content, like a highlight reel of someone else's life, playing in the background while mine had stalled under fluorescent lights. For a moment, I honestly thought I was hallucinating. Maybe the concussion was messing with my head. Maybe I'd told them and just forgotten. My mind scrambled for some other narrative that didn't end with, "They didn't notice." But the memory was clear. The nurse asking, "Do you want me to call someone?" And me shaking my head, tasting metal, saying, "No, it's fine." I set the phone face down and stared at the ceiling until my vision blurred. I didn't need a parade when bad things happened. I'd never been that person. I didn't even need flowers or balloons. All I'd wanted, on some small, childish level, was for the people I'd spent years picking up after to notice when I went silent. They didn't. 3 days after the accident, the doctors cleared me to go home. The concussion was mild, remember? The ribs would heal. The shoulder had been popped back into place. I shuffled out of the hospital in the same paper-thin gown under a hoodie I could barely lift my arm to zip, clutching a plastic bag of medications. No one offered to pick me up. I didn't even ask. I sat in the lobby for nearly an hour waiting for a rideshare, watching other patients scooped up by relatives, partners, friends. A teenage girl helped her grandmother with a walker. A man my dad's age argued with his wife about whether he needed a wheelchair or not. My driver glanced at my hospital bracelet but didn't comment. I was grateful. I didn't trust my voice not to crack. At home, I dropped my keys twice before I could get the door open. I left my shoes by the mat, shrugged my hoodie off with a hiss of pain, and collapsed into the nearest chair. I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember waking up hours later, the room dim, my body throbbing, the hospital gown itching at my neck. The next morning, I finally slid the ringer back on. 64 missed calls. The list took up the whole screen. Mostly Dad, a handful from Carly, one from Mom, all in the last 48 hours. No voicemails. Just one text at the top from Dad. "Call us back now. It's serious." My heart stuttered. For a split second, irrational panic surged. Had something happened to them? I hit call. He picked up before it even rang. "Lila?" His voice sounded tight, frayed at the edges. "Finally. We've been trying to reach you for 2 days." I didn't answer that. I let the silence sit between us like a third person. He started talking fast, words tumbling over each other. Something about Carly's rent not going through, her card getting declined, her backup card, the one under my name, being frozen. At first, I thought maybe she'd been hacked. Then he kept going. "Your mother's transfers bounced too," he said. "Her credit card stopped working mid-checkout. The bank says there's a hold on the account. Even her phone bill auto-pay failed. The bank flagged suspicious activity. Do you know what's going on?" I sat there in my chair in a hospital gown and hoodie, the same clothes I'd worn when I left the ER, and listened. And for the first time in years, I realized something simple and ugly and liberating. They needed me more than I needed them. And I was done pretending that wasn't true. For a second, I thought about lying, saying I had no idea, that I would look into it, that maybe it was fraud, a bank glitch, Mercury in retrograde, anything that put responsibility back into the abstract. But I was tired, bone tired. "I froze everything," I said. Silence. It was almost funny hearing my father go completely still like that. I'd grown up listening to his voice fill every quiet space, narrating sports games, complaining about traffic, giving unsolicited advice. Now there was nothing. "What?" he finally asked. "I froze the accounts," I repeated, "canceled the secondary cards, shut down the backup account Carly uses, blocked outgoing transfers, all of it." He sounded genuinely blindsided. "Why would you do that? Did someone hack you?" "No," I said, "I did it." Another beat of silence. I pictured him in their kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, pacing the linoleum in slow, annoyed circles. "What's going on, Lila?" he demanded, that old edge creeping back in. "This isn't funny." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. My ribs ached. "You want to know what's going on?" I said quietly. 4 days ago, I flipped my car. He started to say something, but I kept talking. "I didn't see the other driver." The world turned over. I woke up hanging upside down with glass in my hair and blood in my mouth. I spent 3 nights in the hospital with a dislocated shoulder, cracked ribs, and a concussion. They called it mild, which is hilarious. I couldn't even sit up without help. "Why didn't you tell us?" he blurted out. "I wanted to see if you'd notice," I said. "You didn't." He went quiet again. "The nurses asked if I wanted to call anyone," I went on, my voice flat. I said no. And I waited. I waited for someone to wonder why I went quiet, for a text, a call, anything. "You didn't answer our calls," he argued weakly. "You didn't call," I shot back. "Not for 3 days. The only messages I got were spa selfies from Carly in the family chat. I could practically hear him scrolling in his head, replaying the group thread. "Spa time, baby," I said, quoting the caption. "Clay masks, champagne, sushi." Mom's comments. Your thumbs up emojis. Nothing about me. Not a single, "Hey, anyone heard from Lila?" "That's not fair," he snapped, the defensive tone sliding into place. "We didn't know. If we had known, we would have come. Of course we would have come." I closed my eyes. The memory of the hospital room floated up. Monitors beeping, the smell of antiseptic, the ache in my chest every time I tried to cough. "That's the point," I said. "You didn't know because you didn't look. I disappeared for 3 days, and the only thing that lit up the family chat was Carly's robe and cocktail." He sighed heavily. "Your sister's been going through a lot. You know that. Anxiety, work stress. Your mother thought a spa day might help. It wasn't meant to hurt you." "I wasn't hurt because you went to a spa," I said. "I was hurt because I nearly died, and you didn't even notice I was missing." He fell back on an old script. "You should have reached out. You know your mother gets overwhelmed. Carly's got her own problems. You can't expect people to read your mind." My chest tightened, but not from the ribs this time. "I didn't need you to read my mind," I said. "I needed you to read the silence." He exhaled sharply, that telltale sign he was annoyed. "So freezing everyone's accounts is your way of getting even?" I laughed then, a short, humorless sound. It hurt. "This isn't about getting even. It's about not being your walking, talking safety net anymore." "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done," I said. "I'm done paying Carly's rent when she overspends on nonsense. I'm done consolidating Mom's credit card debt while she pretends everything is fine. I'm done covering your car repairs and medical bills and never even getting a thank you. I'm done being the only adult in a family full of people who act like I'm a bank with a heartbeat." "That's not fair," he repeated. "We never forced you to do any of that." "Did you ever stop me?" I asked. "Did you ever once say, 'No, Lila, we've got it handled. You keep your money'? Or did you all just let me?" Silence answered that one for him. "You're turning your back on your family over one misunderstanding," he said finally, his voice tightening. "No," I said quietly. I turned my back lying in that hospital bed while scrolled through pictures of my sister's pedicure and realized I could die, and the only way you'd find out would be when the credit card declined at brunch. He started to say something, but I was done. "I'm done being the strong one," I said. "I'm done being the fix-it girl. You want dinner out? Pay for it. You want spa days? Pay for them. You want to ignore your daughter in a hospital bed? Fine. But you don't get to ignore me and still cash my money." "Lila," he warned, "think about what you're doing." "I already did," I said, and I hung up. The line went dead. The apartment hummed softly around me. Refrigerator, traffic outside, a neighbor's TV muffled through the wall. The last time I'd felt this kind of clarity was when I signed the paperwork for my first apartment. That sense of stepping into something that was mine. I stood slowly, careful of my ribs, and shuffled to my desk. The laptop sat where I'd left it, half buried under discharge papers and a crumpled hospital bracelet. I opened it. Old muscle memory kicked in. I pulled up my banking app, then a fresh spreadsheet. Columns appeared. Account name, purpose, who uses it, shared, active. I started listing them. Carly's backup checking account under my name. The joint credit card with Mom added as a secondary just in case. Dad's emergency card we'd set up while he was between jobs. The auto pay I'd attached for their phone bill. The streaming services Carly begged for and then never paid back. Her gym membership, the Uber account linked to my card, the old Venmo I'd left open for family stuff. Line by line, I cataloged every little way I'd been funding the illusion of their stability. Every quiet yes that had become silently expected. Then, methodically, I shut them down. I called the bank and asked them to remove all secondaries from my cards. "No authorized users besides me," I said. The representative tried to upsell me on travel points. I politely declined and had them double-check that every card with my name was fully mine alone. I logged into Carly's temporary account, the one I'd opened for her when she was between apartments, and transferred the remaining balance out before closing it. I opened the phone provider's website and removed my card from their family plan, deleting any saved information. I went through my email for old sign-up confirmations. "Welcome to Premium Plus. Thanks for joining FitZone." Cancel, cancel, cancel. It was strangely soothing, like cleaning out an overstuffed closet. No anger, I reminded myself aloud. Just boundaries. Every time a window popped up asking, Are you sure you want to close this account? I clicked yes. I changed passwords, turned on two-factor authentication, removed my name from a lease Carly had begged me to co-sign just for a year. I emailed the landlord and formally requested my removal now that the term had ended. By the time I was done, my spreadsheet looked like a crime map. Red X's next to every line item that had once quietly siphoned my income into their lives. I leaned back, wincing as my ribs protested, and stared at the screen. There was no dramatic swell of music, no sense of triumphant revenge. Just stillness. For the first time in years, every dollar connected to my accounts was actually mine. I closed the laptop, set it on the table, and exhaled. Somewhere, a text notification buzzed. I didn't look. Reality was about to catch up to them. And for once, I wasn't going to step in front of it. The next morning, the fallout began. First as a ripple, then as a full tidal wave collapsing onto itself. I woke up to sunlight bleeding through my blinds and 7 missed calls from Carly, all between 6 o'clock and 7:15 a.m. The timestamps looked panicked, uneven, like she'd dialed, hung up, dialed again before her nerves caught up with her. Then came the texts. Carly, why is my card declining? Carly, Lila WTF. Carly, answer your phone. Carly, this isn't funny. Carly, I can't pay my rent. Carly, call me back right now. Not one, are you okay? Not one mention of the accident. Not one moment of awareness that her crisis began the same day I stopped being their financial IV drip. I didn't respond. I went about my morning, slow and stiff. Ice packs, pain meds, awkwardly pulling a sweater over my good arm, while my phone continued to buzz on the counter like a trapped insect. Then Mom started. Mom, sweetheart, something's wrong with my bank. Can you check your end? Mom, it says my card is frozen? Mom, I'm sure it's just a glitch. Mom, can you call the bank? They always listen to you. Mom, Lila? Still nothing about the accident. Still nothing about me. Just the problem she expected me to fix. Again. Dad tried next. Unlike Carly's frantic texts or Mom's passive-aggressive confusion, Dad sent one calm message. Dad, can we talk, please? I didn't answer him either. Not yet. I wanted them all to sit in the silence I had lived in for days. By mid-afternoon, Carly escalated. I wasn't expecting the voice messages, but once I played them, I realized I should have. Voice note 1, 1:08. Minutes. Her tone irritated, indignant. Okay, seriously? My card got declined at the cafe in front of everyone. You embarrassed me. I had to leave my food on the counter. What is going on? Voice note 2, 1:27 minutes. Now annoyed, frantic. My rent is due today, Lila, and the app won't let me transfer from the backup account. It says access revoked. Fix this. I'm literally shaking. Voice note 3, 2:02 minutes. Crying, or attempting to. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I've always been good to you. I always supported you. How could you do this to me when I'm already dealing with so much? Please, please, Lila, just call me back. I'm scared. The words always supported you made me laugh out loud, which hurt my ribs but felt worth it. They didn't want me. They wanted access. Mom's tone changed later that evening. Her patience drained into something cold, clipped. Mom, I still can't access my account. You need to sort this out. Mom, the electric bill bounced. This is unacceptable. Mom, Lila, answer me. Still no apology, still no acknowledgement, still no humanity. Just demands disguised as expectations. Dad finally left a voicemail. He didn't yell. He sounded tired. Lila, look, freezing the accounts was a big overreaction. Carly is, well, you know how she is. And your mom's been juggling a lot lately. We didn't know about the accident. If we had, we would have moved mountains to get to you. But cutting everyone off without warning, that's not fair to us. Please call me back so we can fix this. Fix, the family motto. Never heal, never apologize. Just fix, meaning Lila, you fix it. I didn't call. 3 days later, the knock came. Not the buzzing of the lobby door. A direct, sharp knock, knock, knock at my apartment. I froze. My breath caught painfully under the healing ribs. Then I crept to the peephole and saw someone I absolutely did not expect. Josh, Carly's ex-boyfriend. The one she'd dumped 2 years ago because he lacked ambition, which was rich considering Carly's main ambition was staying horizontally aligned on expensive spa furniture. I opened the door a few inches. He shifted awkwardly. Hey, Carly gave me your address. My eyebrows shot up. Why? She said you were going through something, that you had some kind of breakdown and cut the whole family off, and she needed me to talk to you before things got worse. A humorless smile tugged at my mouth. A breakdown? He nodded, hands shoved into hoodie pockets. I didn't fully buy it, so I wanted to check on you myself. I let him in. We sat at my tiny kitchen table. I told him everything. Not out of spite, just clarity. I told him about the crash, the hospital, the silence, the spa photos, the 27 unread messages, the 64 missed calls after the money disappeared, the spreadsheet, the closures. Josh rubbed his face. Jesus, she didn't mention any of that. She made it sound like you cut them off after a small fight. Of course she did, I said softly. The truth doesn't serve her. He hesitated. You know they're telling people online that you're unstable, right? I blinked. What? He pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. A Facebook post from my mother. Please keep our family in your prayers. Some people lash out when they're hurting. We're trying our best to be patient and stay strong. Comments flooded underneath. So sorry you're going through this. You're such a good mom. Hope your daughter gets help. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Not only had they ignored me, not only had they drained me, now they were rewriting the story entirely, casting themselves as the victims, me as the unstable villain. No anger rose in me, just something colder, sharper, a clarity that felt like the snap of bone instead of the dull ache I'd been living with. Josh left quietly. No defense of Carly, no excuses. Just a soft apology before the door closed behind him. I didn't hesitate. I opened the folder on my phone titled Just in Case. Inside were screenshots. The group chat during my hospital stay, the spa spam, Carly's dramatic voice notes, Mom's letter, the loan agreement, their account statements, the Facebook post. I selected them all, sent them to one person. Dad, no message, no explanation. Just the truth he'd never bothered to see. A few hours later, my phone buzzed. Dad, I didn't know, Dad. I see it now, Dad. I'm sorry. I stared at those 6 words for a long time. 6 words that felt too late, too small, too hollow. But also 6 words that told me the house of cards I'd been holding together for years was finally collapsing under its own weight. And all I had done was step out of the way. Dad's 6-word apology hung in my phone like condensation on glass. Visible, fragile, already fading. I didn't reply. Not because it meant nothing, but because it wasn't enough to mean anything. After that text, he went silent. No guilt trips, no calls, no pleading. Just nothing. I think for the first time he realized the gravity of what he'd allowed, what he'd ignored, and he couldn't defend it anymore. But silence from him didn't mean silence from everyone else. 3 days later, I woke to an unfamiliar email notification. Property Management Office. Urgent notice. At first I thought it was spam. Then I recognized the address buried in the body of the message. Carly's apartment. Her landlord had emailed me. Right. I had once been listed as her emergency contact, just temporarily, during one of her melodramatic breakups. I'd forgotten about it. Carly hadn't. The email was blunt. Your contact, Ms. Carly Moreno, has missed rent and late fees are accruing. We have been unable to reach her. 5 days remain before eviction filing. 5 days. 5 days until the consequences she'd outrun for years finally caught up. I sat back in bed, rereading it. Not out of satisfaction. Some people fantasize about moments like this, but out of quiet disbelief. They had pushed so much onto me for so long that it still shocked me to see the infrastructure crumbling when I stepped back. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. It was Josh. Against my better judgment, I opened the message. Josh, just checking on you. Went by your mom's earlier. Josh, things seem bad. Bad was an understatement. A second message came through immediately, like he hadn't meant to send it and then decided he should. Josh, they were yelling, like screaming, yelling. Neighbors called the cops. Josh, Carly said you ruined her life. Josh, your mom told her she wasn't made of money. Josh, Carly took your mom's car and left her stranded. I stared at the screen, speechless. Carly and my mother had always functioned like a unit, codependent, fused, enabling each other's worst impulses. If they were turning on each other now, the structure had completely collapsed. I typed a short reply. Me. Thanks for letting me know. Me. I'm fine. He sent one more message before going silent. Josh. They're telling everyone you had a breakdown. Josh. I don't believe them. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. 3 nights later, I came home to find a sheet of paper shoved under my apartment door. No envelope, no handwriting, just a printed screenshot. A bank transfer attempt from a payment app I had forgotten Carly even used. She had tried to send herself $900 from one of my old backup accounts. It had failed. My freeze had stopped it. But she tried. She had looked for a loophole, searched through old memories, old accounts, old favors, trying to find one door I hadn't locked. That was it. My last shred of hesitation snapped clean. This wasn't desperation. This wasn't ignorance. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was theft, planned, calculated, quiet. And she assumed, like always, that she could get away with it. The next morning, I walked into the bank with my arms still stiff from the accident and filed a formal fraud alert. The banker asked if I wanted to press charges. Not yet, I told her. Just document it. Flag her name, her device, her IP address. Any future attempt would be automatic. I didn't tell Carly. I didn't tell anyone. Let the tripwire sit there in silence. That afternoon, I sat on my couch, still smelling faintly of the eucalyptus spray I'd bought to feel human again, and stared at my phone. There were no messages from Dad, no new screenshots from cousins, no manipulative apologies, no angry demands, no bargaining. Just quiet. I opened my contacts and deleted Carly's number, then Mom's, then Dad's, then the group chat thread. Years of half-hearted emojis and unacknowledged favors disappearing with a single tap. Then email filters, then social media blocks, one platform at a time until the digital threads tying us together evaporated. Each deletion hurt less than I expected. Each confirmation felt steadier. By the time I was done, it was almost dark. I packed 2 boxes, books, and important documents, and taped them shut with one-arm awkward determination. The next morning, movers carried my belongings down the stairs. I signed a new lease across town. New building, new management, new number, new bank. No forwarding address, no trail to follow. Clean slate. Not because I feared them, but because anonymity felt like recovery. In the following weeks, updates reached me indirectly. Screenshots from cousins, whispered mentions from old neighbors, glimpses of their lives unraveling on social media. Carly lost the apartment, then the car, then her job. She was couch surfing with a college friend who clearly didn't know what she was signing up for. Mom's utilities were cut for non-payment. Someone sent me a screenshot of her posting vague inspirational quotes about family healing and learning to forgive. Forgive what? Me refusing to bankroll her anymore? Dad stayed silent, truly silent. Not avoidance, not denial, just nothing. For the first time, it felt like he understood that reaching out might only make things worse. And still, no one apologized. Not for ignoring the hospital, not for lying, not for the fraud attempt, not for the narrative they spun blaming me for everything. Nothing. But I didn't need their apologies anymore. I wasn't waiting for closure. Closure had already happened, quietly, when I realized I didn't need their love to move forward. I just needed my freedom. 2 months later, in my new apartment, with calm neighbors, quiet mornings, and a kitchen that felt like mine, I woke up to something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. No buzzing notifications, no overdraft alerts, no drama-laced voice notes, no group chat noise drowning out my thoughts. Just silence, the kind that used to feel like abandonment. Now it felt like safety. This wasn't revenge, it wasn't cruelty, it wasn't punishment. It was survival. And for the first time in my life, I was finally living. Not as someone's safety net, not as someone's provider, not as someone's emotional punching bag, but as myself. 2 months of silence can feel like a lifetime, or like a single long exhale you didn't realize you'd been holding for years. For me, it felt like both. I woke up one morning in my new apartment, sun warming the corner of the room, the scent of fresh coffee drifting from the kitchen, and for a moment I didn't recognize the feeling spreading through my chest. It wasn't happiness exactly. It wasn't relief either. It was room. Space where pain used to live. A quietness that didn't feel like abandonment anymore, but sanctuary. For the first time since the accident, I didn't feel the phantom weight of someone else's emergency pulling at me. No buzzing phone begging for money, no guilt-charged messages asking for help, no crisis disguised as love. Just silence, soft and steady. I didn't check my phone right away. I didn't have to. There was no one left with access to me, and that was the point. People talk about cutting off family like it's a door slam, a clean break, a dramatic decision you make once and then move forward triumphant. That's not how it works. It's grief, not the grief of losing someone you loved, but the grief of admitting they were never who you hoped they were. I had spent years imagining a different version of my family, a father who noticed when I didn't answer my phone, a mother who checked in without needing something, a sister who didn't treat me like a debit card in human form. The accident didn't break my family. It showed me the truth of it. And the truth was this: I had never been part of a family. I had been part of a system, a financial ecosystem kept afloat by my silence, my responsibility, my guilt, my inability to say no. Once I stepped out of that system, it collapsed like a scaffold with no support beams left. I didn't topple it, I just stopped holding it up. Occasionally, scraps of their unraveling reached me through distant people. A cousin texted me a blurry photo of mom's latest cryptic Facebook post. Some families break, some heal. Pray we all find forgiveness. Forgiveness for what? Getting my ribs cracked in silence? Paying their bills until I bled? Being unconscious in a hospital bed while they took pictures in a sauna? Another cousin messaged, "Hey, did something happen with Carly? Her Instagram is gone, like really gone." I checked out of morbid curiosity. Search bar, Carly. Nothing. Not archived. Deleted. Carly had always treated Instagram like oxygen. If she deleted it, things were worse than I'd imagined. She wasn't just struggling financially, her ego, her identity, the image she curated like a full-time job, had been shattered. I didn't celebrate that. It didn't give me satisfaction. It just confirmed something I'd been learning quietly. When you stop playing the role people assigned you, they don't know who they are anymore. The biggest surprise, strangely, was Dad. A part of me expected more texts, more pleading, maybe even anger once the dust settled. But he never sent another message. Not a "how are you," not an "I'm sorry again," not a "let's talk." Nothing. I think he finally understood the magnitude of his silence at the hospital. Not just that he didn't call, but that he didn't notice. A daughter doesn't disappear off the grid for days without signs first. I had been disappearing slowly for years, emotionally, mentally, financially, cutting pieces of myself away to keep the family functioning like a machine. He saw the last piece slip out of place, and instead of trying to shove it back, he let the machine break. That was the closest he ever came to making things right. A week after unpacking the last of my boxes, I sat on my couch with the folder of screenshots open on my laptop, not to revisit the past, but to remind myself that gaslighting isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, wrapped in family words like responsibility, loyalty, and love. In that folder were things I never wanted to forget. The spa photos posted while I lay in a hospital bed. Mom's letter asking for money, disguised as affection. Carly's voice notes demanding help, not giving a damn where I'd been. The bank transfer attempt she hoped I wouldn't notice. Dad's final 6-word apology. These weren't weapons, they were reminders. The next time someone told me I was too sensitive, too cold, or too distant, I wanted to be able to open this file and remember. No, I became this because I had to. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates to keep yourself safe. I marked the moment everything truly changed on a random Thursday. My phone buzzed. A single notification. For a second, my heart clenched. Old muscle memory tightening, expecting something catastrophic, dramatic, demanding. But it wasn't a crisis. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't a guilt trip wrapped in faux sweetness. It was a delivery update. A new set of kitchen bowls I'd ordered. I started laughing. A real laugh, soft but bright, echoing in the quiet of my apartment. For the first time in years, my phone brought me something ordinary, unloaded, unburdened, mine. One evening, I met with a colleague for dinner. She asked casually, "How's your family?" I opened my mouth, paused, then said, "Small, but peaceful." She nodded, not knowing the weight of what she'd just heard. Small can be safe, small can be chosen, small can be enough. My life isn't perfect now. I'm not healed, not entirely. Some nights I blink awake, remembering the hospital lights, the ache in my ribs, the Instagram notifications that never came. Some days I feel the echo of the old role they shoved me into and almost slip back into apologizing for taking up space. But those moments pass. Because here's the truth. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when your world is upside down. It's who calls when the silence lasts too long. It's who lifts you, not drains you. The people I cut off didn't lose me. They never had me. They had my labor, my wallet, my guilt, my silence. And I took that back. I didn't burn the bridge. I simply collected the planks I built it with and used them to construct a life where I could finally stand on solid ground. A life where I breathe without waiting for the next financial emergencies to crash through my phone. A life where quiet isn't terrifying, it's peaceful. A life where the only person I'm responsible for is me. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't cruelty. It wasn't abandonment. It was survival. And for the first time in my 29 years, I am finally, beautifully alive.